I'd like to thank you, Hershell and Jude and Julie, for being here today. We're very excited and we're very grateful that you took the time out of your very busy schedules to be with us. I'm going to read off script today because there are so many things to say about you, I couldn't remember them all. Okay, and I think it's important that everybody understands your history. Hershell is best known for his legendary sports career that began as a freshman at the University of Georgia, where he helped capture the 1980 National Football title. He earned consensus All-American honors 3 consecutive years in both football and track and field, set numerous NCAA and SEC records, capping a sensation college career by earning his junior year the 1982 Heisman Trophy. In 1983, he turned pro, giving up his final year of collegiate eligibility. After a 15-year pro football career, he set the still-standing single-season pro football rushing record of 2,411 yards, led the NFL in rushing, gained more total yards than anyone in pro football history, and received numerous All-Pro and Pro Bowl honors. He held the world's record in the 60-yard dash, participated in the 1992 Winter Olympic two-man United States bobsled team, and is a fifth-degree black belt in Taekwondo. In 2002, he was voted into the Collegiate Football Hall of Fame, and in 2015 was selected as the greatest player in football in the last half-century. Today, he serves as chairman of the board and president. Let me see if I did this right. No, I'm sorry. Today, he serves as co-chair of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Throughout his career, Hershell established a reputation for honesty and diligence, a sincere commitment to community, and an unsurpassed passion for excellence. Today, Hershell serves as president and CEO of the H. Walker Enterprises and Renaissance Man Food Services. Hershell visits military bases every month in conjunction with the Patriot Support Program developed along with the Universal Health Hospital. The program is dedicated to our nation's military servicemen and women and help in the areas of behavioral health. Would you please stand and give a warm welcome to Hershell Walker.
Well, I always acknowledge my Lord Jesus Christ, because he said if you don't acknowledge him, he's not going to acknowledge you. And when I come knocking, I'm here to let me in. I want to also acknowledge my wife, Julie, and my second mom, Phyllis Washington. She's been like my mom for over 45 years now. So I got to acknowledge them, and Jane. I want to acknowledge you guys at Hope, because I heard from a great man, Tom Landry, that said when you take something out of society, put something back in. And I do believe in that. You know, I've been blessed. I've been blessed all my life, and I'm going to give you a roundabout way of knowing that. Because as a kid growing up, I didn't love myself. I didn't like the way I sound. I didn't like the way I look. You know, 4 years of my life, I never spoke in a classroom. People didn't even think I can talk. And I remember I used to sing this song at my mom's house, and I didn't know the reason why. And the song went along like this. Oh, everybody lonesome for somebody else, nobody lonesome for me. Oh, everybody thinks about somebody else, nobody thinks about me. When the time rolled around for me to lay down and die, I'm gonna hire someone so they can cry, because that's the way I felt. I didn't love myself. As a little boy, I was bullied, and I didn't like myself at all. but because I'm in one of the greatest countries in the world, the United States of America. They helped me to see that when you get knocked down, you get up. And I say, everyone know all the glory, but they don't know the whole story. And what's fun is Hershell Walker, a young man that never had taken a drink before in my life. Hershell Walker, a young man that never had a drug. I never taken medicine in my life. After playing all these incredible sports, I ended up going to a behavioral health hospital. I don't know if you know what a behavioral health hospital is, but I used to call it crazy hospital, but you can't say crazy hospital because HR get pissed off at you, so you have to say behavioral health hospital. But Hershell Walker ended up going to a behavioral health hospital at the end of my football career. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. As a little kid, because I used to stutter so bad, I was bullied. I was bullied so bad, and as I was saying, when you get knocked down, you get up. There was a young man by the name of Anthony Logan beat me up in the 8th grade, the last day of school, and I still remember his name. I be Facebooking him, tweeting, trying to find him today. Only to thank him, and let me tell you the reason why. He didn't just beat me up, but he woke me up. Because that's the day of my life I started reading books. That's the day of my life I started working out. And all of a sudden, I think I told some of the people last night I wanted to go to the military. I wanted to be a Marine, like your father. I wanted to be a Marine. I thought I was cut out to be a Marine. And I couldn't tell my mom and dad about being a Marine. And I couldn't tell them, but all of a sudden I ended up flipping a coin to decide what to do, and I ended up going to college because that's what the coin said, and I was all mad about it. And I went to the University of Georgia, didn't want to go to the University of Georgia because I was mad at God wouldn't let me go to the Marines, so I'm now mad at the University of Georgia. And this was so strange about it. The head coach at the University of Georgia, a man by the name of Vince Dooley, came up to my father and myself on my front porch after I signed to go to the University of Georgia. And his exact words were, I'm not sure if Hershell Walker can play at the University of Georgia. You know, all my life I've heard people tell me that I wasn't good enough. And now I just give my life to this man, and he's telling me he don't think I'm good enough to play at the university. And I'm not sure if that's a motivation speech because I'm thinking, dude, I don't like you either. And I go to the University of Georgia, and as my mom says sometimes, man can't stop what God got in store for you. Because I went to the University of Georgia, and I remember the first game. This will tell you how God is so good. People say he may not come when you want him, but I can guarantee you he'll come on time. Because Coach Dooley told me I wasn't playing in the first game. I was in Knoxville, Tennessee. There was 95,000 people at this game. But they only gave Georgia 2,500 tickets, and they put them in the end zone so they couldn't be seen or heard. This is the honest truth of a story I'm finna tell you. We were getting beat. Georgia was losing to Tennessee 15 to 16. And all of a sudden there was a chant, we want Hershell. We want Hershell. The chant was coming from 2,500 people over 93,000 people. This is the honest truth. And Coach Dooley will tell you the only reason he threw me into this game, the chant got so loud, he threw me into this game. He threw me into this game. We ended up winning this game 17 to 16. And now I played the rest of my years at the University of Georgia, ended up winning the Heisman Trophy, something I didn't even know that much about. And to be honest with you, in 1982, the year I won the Heisman Trophy, I get a chance to vote today. I wouldn't have voted for myself. I thought they felt guilty and gave me the Heisman Trophy, and I told them I feel like I'm the Susan Lucci of the Heisman Trophy. And if you don't know who Susan Lucci is, she's the one that should have won an Oscar in the stories and all that, and she didn't win it, so they ended up giving her one to make her feel good about it. That's what they did to me. And 1980 is the year I should have won a Heisman Trophy, and they didn't give it to me. In 81, they didn't give it to me then either because they said I was too young, but they ended up giving it to me in 82, and in 82, I thought John Elway should have won. Because the way I judge the Heisman Trophy is not giving someone something that they didn't earn, and that's what you talked about, Larry. In today's world, there's people out there want to take something that they didn't earn. They don't want to work for it. They want you to give it to them. Well, that's not what life's about. God always said you don't want to just give a man a fish, teach him to fish. And that's what we're going wrong in this country today. We want to give people stuff all the time. But hard work don't do nothing but make you better. Because I worked hard my whole life, guys. You know, I started doing 5,000 push-ups every day, 5,000 sit-ups every day. And the people today would challenge me. And this is an honest story. Hershell Walker, in everything I ever competed in, I've never lost. And I tell people today, I'll be your huckleberry. I don't lose today either. So if I ever run for Senate, I'm going to tell y'all, Hershell ain't going in there to lose. Hey, that ain't about my DNA. I don't lose that stuff. And what I'm telling you is I got an opportunity to get drafted in the NFL to go play with the Dallas Cowboys, one of the finest coaches that I mentioned to you, a guy by the name of Tom Landry. I go to the NFL, and all of a sudden I'm doing some great things there, and I'm the NFL, NFC leading rusher. I don't know if you know what that means. That means that I'm big time. I'm big time. I'm big time. And all of a sudden, I hear someone from Arkansas going to buy the Dallas Cowboys. Why does that matter to Hershell Walker? Because I have a big head. I'm leading the league in rushing. I'm the man in the NFL. A guy by the name of Jerry Jones came to Dallas, bought the Dallas Cowboys. They fired Coach Landry, the most well-known coach in the NFL. They brought in a guy by the name of Jimmy Johnson. Well, I'm not going to worry about that because I'm the man. Within a couple of weeks, I hear they're going to trade Hershell Walker to the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm like, what? Well, to be honest with you, black people hate cold weather, so I'm not going to Minnesota. Well, what was so funny is Jerry and Jimmy never realized, because they never read my contract, that Hershell Walker contract says Hershell Walker cannot be traded unless he consent to the trade. So y'all know what? Hershell Walker hadn't consented to anything. And as I told you, black people hate cold weather, and I'm not going to Minnesota. So I decided I'm not going to Minnesota. And then Jerry Jones went to my agent, IMG at the time, and said, what do Hershell want to go to Minnesota? Well, just jokingly, we started coming up with all these crazy things that we really didn't want, but it's going to let Jerry Jones know that I'm in control of this, and I'm not going to Minnesota. I asked for a house every other year I played in the NFL. I asked for 2 brand new cars every year I played in the NFL. I asked to use Jerry Jones' plane for a year. I asked for this, I asked for that, I asked for all this stuff. And I remember my agent said, well, Hershell, he's not going to give you all those things. I said, Peter, you didn't ask me what he was going to give me. You asked me what I want, and that's what I want. And Peter go, I want a bass boat. I said, put it on the list then. He put that bass boat on this list. It was 3 sheets of paper. He went across the street. I was living in Cottonwood Valley in Irving, Texas. Went across the street to the Four Seasons. Jerry Jones was in the lobby. They walked into the lobby, and they said, Jerry said, what did he want? What did he want? And Peter was just joking, pulled out these 3 sheets of paper and gave them to Jerry and said, if you give Hershell that, he'll go to Minnesota. Jerry grabbed that list and signed it and got someone to witness it. And Peter went ahead and came back home and said, Hershell, I'm so sorry. But Jerry agreed to everything. And I said, oh, crap, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Well, people, that's how I ended up in Minnesota as a Minnesota Vikings. But I would guarantee you this, Minnesota is one of the best places I ever lived in my life. Incredible people, incredible city. So it hurt my feeling to see what has happened to that city. A lot of great people that have lost their businesses, have lost a lot of their things there because we got people that are in office that won't stand up for what is right. What is the truth? What is the right thing to do? Well, I was in Minnesota for 3 years, and all of a sudden it was time for me to leave. I'm going to leave Minnesota and go to somewhere else, and everyone is calling me around the league. Why don't you come here? Why don't you come here? And I mentioned Reggie White to some people last night. Reggie White was at the Philadelphia Eagles. Reggie White called me up and said, Hershell, we want you to come to Philadelphia. That's a city of brotherly love. You know, I'm from the country. I said, that's a city that loves brothers. That's cut out for me. I sign and go to Philadelphia, but I'm going to break y'all off something. Ain't no love in Philly. That is a tough place to be an athlete. Hey, I was there the year when they threw snowball at Santa Claus. This is the honest truth. There's a football game going on. Santa Claus shows up at halftime. The fans throw snowballs at him. How can you throw snowballs at Santa Claus? That's a tough place to play football, but they love Hershell Walker in Philadelphia. So I'm in Philly doing my thing. Reggie White decided to leave Philly and go to Green Bay. You know, I don't look good in that color. I'm not going to Green Bay. They said, what are you going to do, Hershell? What are you going to do? I said, well, you know what? I started out in New York. Why don't I go play for the Giants for a year? I go up to New York, which was a big mistake, because the Giants were not a team that's going to win many games. So I'm in New York for a year, and all of a sudden I get a call on my phone, and the call is from Jerry Jones. And Jerry said, Hershell, you got animosity toward the Dallas Cowboys? I said, no, Mr. Jones, I love the Dallas Cowboys. He said, well, how would you like to come back to the Dallas Cowboys? I said, I'd love to come back to the Dallas Cowboys because I still got that house there that you bought for me. I said, I'd love to come back to Dallas. I go back to Dallas and, things are happening for me again and stuff. And all of a sudden, something else happened in my life. And that's why I say, guys, when you get knocked down, you got to get up. Like you ever watch a stupid movie late at night hoping you're going to get better, but it don't get better, but you keep watching it? The other night, I was watching something called Fright Night or Freak Night or some crazy night, but it was about vampires. I don't know if you know that much about vampires, but vampires are some cool people, are they not? They're always dressed in a black suit, looking good and stuff. Those are some bad people there. Y'all probably think I'm crazy, but stay with me for a little bit. Well, I was watching this stupid movie about 1 a.m. This is how crazy this movie is. I'm watching my television of these kids watching their television because they got a real live vampire that lives in their attic. Well, they're watching a show of vampires on their TV of a vampire killer killing vampires on their TV. So I'm watching kids watching a vampire movie of me watching my TV that got vampires on my TV. So it's kind of stupid, but it's 1 a.m. At 1 a.m, nothing comes on TV. So I'm watching it where these kids win this contest to bring this vampire killer from their TV to their home to get rid of this real life vampire in their attic. Well, on their TV, they got an actor. He's fake, meaning that he's got all the right stuff. He's got a stake that you kill a vampire with. I want to tell you guys that. He's got a necklace of garlic, which I'm not sure what it does. He got a cross, which burns a vampire. And he got holy water, which is good. So if you know anything about vampire, carry holy water with you all the time today. Well, as they're walking home into their house, they bring this actor to their home. And wait, I'm going to get off subject for a minute. Because I didn't know a werewolf can kill a vampire. Y'all probably don't know that, but a werewolf can kill a vampire. Do you know that? I'm talking a werewolf is a bad dude. But anyway, they bring this actor from their home to get rid of this real life vampire in their attic. And as this actor is walking through their home with all the right stuff, he's got all the right stuff. He's blessing the house with the holy water. They walked upstairs. And this vampire floated from the ceiling with this black suit on looking cool. And I'm going to give y'all some advice. If you go home and somebody floats from your ceiling, get out of that house. That's not the place you need to be. But anyway, as this vampire floated from their ceiling, the kids jumped behind their hero. They jumped behind their hero, and this vampire actor jumped in front of the kids, and he took the holy water and threw it on the vampire's forehead, and the vampire covered his eyes. But he took his hand away and he started laughing. He took the cross and he put this cross on this vampire's forehead where this vampire was supposed to burn, and he didn't burn. This vampire just laughed. He said, that's not going to work. He said, it doesn't work unless you have faith. And the reason I tell you that, guys, is right now in this country, we got to have faith. We got to have faith that is so strong that we won't give up. We got to have truth. We got to have truth that we believe in each other, that we love each other, that we can overcome whatever. Guys, my whole life, I played with people of different races, people of different colors and all the things, and that's what had made it so wonderful in my life. And last night I told people, I said, guys, my thing is, look, my mom is white. Hey, that's my mom here, and I do anything for her. My wife is white. I do anything for her. I have a Chinese friend, my Chinese cousin. I got my Russian girl in my family. I love her to death. 2 grandkids. I got a Italian. My brother is Hispanic from Barcelona, Spain. And I'm like, guys, we are a melting pot in this country. Don't let anyone tell you that we're not. Don't let anyone tell you that the reason we're the greatest country in the world is God has taken these great minds of white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and all these different colors and threw them in a pot and mixed them up. That's the reason we're the greatest country in the world. So we got to fight for it. We got to not let it go. We can't let people fool us with all this crazy stuff that they're telling you about because it's not real. I love being black. But why I can't just be an American? Why do I have to be black? Why I can't just be an American? You know, I think that's what counts. Hey, being a black man, I think it's cool. You know, I never thought of, I was the same way. This year they said, Hershell, you're black. And I'm like, crap, I didn't know that. How did I find out? I got called a coon. I got called a coon. I was wow, man, they don't even know what they're talking about. People won't educate themselves. If you're going to call me something, don't call me a coon because those are one of the smartest animals out there. So call me something that's kind of dumb. And I thought first it was going to be a mule, but I said, wow, it can't be a mule because they're pretty smart too. So I said, I'm not sure what they can call me, but I'm okay what you call me because truth is what it is. People, we have to live. We have to stand up and live for this country. It's not about you anymore. Everyone thinks God created this world for us. He didn't create it for us. He created it for him. We're here just to help him. Sort of like a banker give you a loan. With that loan, all you do is to pay that interest. You pay interest. And that interest is not paid off till you pay that loan off. That's when we get to heaven. And heaven is a great place. You know, I tell people this. I said, guys, I don't know what Hershell Walker is here to do, but I do know I've had a lot of help getting there. I tell you, I've won everything, but it hasn't been by myself. I won the Heisman Trophy, guys, but I had an offensive line. They blocked. You say this is the honest truth. Guys, I broke the world's record into 60. You know how big I am to break the world's record into 60? But I didn't do it by myself. You know how much I trained with all those guys? It wasn't just about Hershell, Guys, I made the bobsled team. I don't even know anything about this bobsled team. So I had people out there helping me to make this team. And something that's so interesting about it is so many things I've done has been because of my Lord Jesus. And I said, guys, let's have faith. I'm going to tell you something about this. I don't know if you ever seen Rocky. They have like 20 or 30 of the Rocky's movies and stuff. They have a bunch of them. But I remember in Rocky 5, I think it was Rocky 5, when Rocky taught that kid from Oklahoma to box. I don't remember. You remember that one? I think it was Tommy Gunn. Tommy Gunn is a cool name, is it not? Tommy Gunn, for an athlete, Tommy Gunn is a cool name. So he taught Tommy Gunn to box. Well, Tommy Gunn decided to leave Rocky, but go to that Don King lookalike. You remember that? And all of a sudden, Don King lookalike made Tommy Gunn a champion of the world. But Tommy Gunn didn't really like it because the fan booed him. They didn't like Tommy Gunn. They like Rocky. They like Rocky and stuff. So all of a sudden, Tommy Gunn decided he wanted to fight Rocky. But Rocky retired. He's in the bar with his big mouth brother-in-law. You remember Polly? He was in the bar with his big mouth brother-in-law, Polly, and they're in this bar and stuff. And Tommy Gunn and Rocky is going to fight. But Tommy Gunn and the Don King lookalike shows up outside. And what was so strange about it, they're calling Rocky out to fight, and Rocky won't come out there because he's in that bar with his brother-in-law, Polly. And all of a sudden, Tommy Gunn and Don King lookalike walked into this bar, and Tommy Gunn swung on Rocky. And Rocky moved, and he hit Polly and knocked Polly to the ground. And if you can remember this scene, Rocky goes, let's take it outside. And I said, Tommy Gunn don't realize this is a Rocky movie. And Rocky winning his own movies. Y'all know that. Rocky winning his own movie. So they go outside and they start fighting and stuff. If you can remember this one scene, this scene was so powerful because Jesus shows up in this scene. This is what you don't realize. This is how good God is in my life. Because I know when I get knocked down, I got a man that's a bad dude that's going to show up to help me. Because he knocks Rocky into this trash. Tommy Gunn beating Rocky, knocks him to this trash. And Rocky is laying in this trash feeling sorry for himself. Tommy Gunn and Don King look alike are walking away, patting themselves on the back. Well, I'm going to show you where Jesus shows up. As Rocky's laying in this trash, what was his trainer, his old trainer, Mick? You remember Mick? Mick died in 3 of the Rockies ago with Mr. T, if you can remember that story there. And I'm going to tell you what really happened. Because greed is not about God. But Mick got too greedy. Because Mick wanted more money. And they told Mick, we're not going to give you more money because this is a Rocky movie. And Mick said, if you don't give me more money, I'm not coming to rehearsal. This is in Rocky 3. And they said, Mick, if you don't come to rehearsal, how are we going to finish shooting the scene? Well, if you can remember this one scene with Mr. T, you remember Mr. T with all the chains and the bald head and said, I pity you, fool, like this. And he used to talk like this. Well, when Mr. T was coming down the stairway, Mick got in between Rocky and Mr. T in Rocky 3, and Mick got pushed by Mr. T because Mr. T said, get out of the way, you old man. And Mick had a heart attack. Well, that was the version when Mick was negotiating his contract in Rocky 3. And if you can remember when Rocky was kneeling over Mick's bed, and you can read Rocky's lips, and Rocky's lips said, Mick, if I were you, I'd settle for what they want to give you. You can read his lips, you can see that. And Mick said, no, Rock, I want what I want, and that's what I want. And they killed Mick off in Rocky 3. So that's why Mick died in Rocky 3. But when they did Rocky 4, and they even did Creed, which is the same movie, like Rocky 7 or 8. Well, in Rocky 4, Mick decided that they really didn't need him. So Mick went to the producers in Rocky 5, and Mick said, can y'all write me in a scene in Rocky 5? And they said, Mick, we can't write you in a scene in Rocky 5 because you died in Rocky 3. But then one of the great producers who's got a great mind said, I'll tell you what we would do. We would put you in a vision. And if you remember when Rocky was laying in that trash in Rocky 5, there was this vision of Mick came over Rocky and said, get up, you bum. Said, get up, it ain't over. Just one more round. Just one more round. And that was that music started, da-da-da, da-da-da. I was like, uh-oh, something about to happen now. And Rocky get up and he go handle business. That's the way our life is, guys. Sometimes we get knocked down. But there's a guy that died for us saying, get up, just one more round. Guys, I went to this hospital. And as I'm sitting in this hospital, the people I'm looking at, talking to, I'm saying, now the people here are crazy. And this is what is so funny. You know, when I went to a hospital, do you know guys that I played with, have fought with, that they say, oh, you fight and bleed with, never called Hershell Walker? Friends that was my friend never called Hershell Walker. You know who called me? Phyllis and Dennis Washington. They looked for me. And I hid because I was ashamed. But what's funny about it, because of the grace of God, I left that hospital. And not only did I leave that hospital, I built some of the largest minority-owned companies in the United States of America. Not only did I leave that hospital, I got into this MMA world, and I started beating up all the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, to show everyone that we all fall short of the glory of God. But what happens to us sometimes is we get ashamed of who we are, and we forget about the blessings. We forget about getting up on your feet. We forget about working hard. Because I was working hard, but I wasn't seeing the stars in my life. So I thank all you out there for coming, because without you, this couldn't happen. Without you, this couldn't happen. So we, as Americans, we as people have to fight together. We as people have to stand together. We as people have to pray together. That's when you see a change. Hey, God bless you. Thank you, guys. Thank you now.